Okay, so we're back from our Nebraska voyage. There you can see our impressive haul. Yeah, something like that. Really just went out there for that swather trailer. That thing was just a bonus. There's really no place around here in Northwest Ohio where you can get that kind of a toolbar with lift assists for under 200 bucks. And turns out you can in Nebraska. And swather trailers, they're just nowheres to be seen. And we need one of those for this, and I need it soon, because as soon as that little wet spot dries up, it's gonna be go time. So I don't have time to make one. Swather sprayer thing is pretty well ready to go. So now it's time to turn our attention over to the planter. We're still a couple weeks out from needing this. This is a small project, even though it's starting to turn into a bigger one. These hydraulic cylinders that came with this is a 2010 Yield Pro by Great Plains. It was, I want to say, the first or second year that they were in production. I think probably the third year in production. I think these went into production in 08. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, these came with, excuse the pile of trash over here, I just haven't had a good day to get rid of it. These came with this style of cylinder, the welded style. Anyway, the bottom of this one blew out last spring. About drained the entire transmission of my 4430. Good news is it wasn't going down the road, and the thing was locked up when it, well, no, it wasn't locked up when it happened, because it blew out. Anyway, these welded cylinders have a spanner nut that goes on the bottom. Again, you probably can't see any of this in great detail, so I'm not going to bore you with it. But long and short of it is, that style of cylinder, you can still get them. They're out of production. They went to something better. And that, as you can see, I've already got one of the lift assemblies put back together. I'm using these tie rod cylinders from Great Plains. So much like the seed boxes, which have been upgraded from the original style, these are also being upgraded to the tie rod style, which much easier to rebuild. To do that, you just fire off the 4 bolts and the whole thing falls apart. Yeah, there's a little more to it than that, but way easier than those, nicer than those, and these are actually cheaper. I could redo my entire planter with those for the same price as what that one cost, what that one cylinder cost. So I think that's the direction they wanted to go. I know you can't, I'm pretty sure that you can't get them anymore with that style. This is how they are. The other thing I found out when I was in the process of replacing those, I don't know if you can see this or not, is right here, the mounting blocks for these cylinders. Well, when they're in this position, that's how they should be for normal planting operations. So pointed up, right? How they were, I don't know if you can see in there or not, but they were mounted pointing down. So whoever had this apart had this set up for ridge till operations, so that these wheels were a little bit higher off the ground. So without making this too lengthy, that kind of makes sense, because whenever I would go to set this whole thing in the ground, I could never get the rear of the toolbar to be within the correct height that the user or the owner's manual called for. Turns out I'm finding out the reason now. So now comes the fun part. This is why I often call this planner the Great Pains. It's not so much that it's built horribly. I mean, it's a great planner, very heavy. Honestly, I love it when it comes time to put in seed in the field. It's you could go right into blacktop, I think, with the thing. What I don't like, and that's mainly the cause of the twin row, is getting in between the row units to work on tires, to work on the row units themselves. There's just not a lot of room down in here, but you can do it. It's manageable. You just got to take your time, not being in a hurry. So, taking the tire off now, which, as you can see, is fighting me. Thought I had a good bite. Don't have a croissant wrench big enough to do what I'm trying to do. So I'm using that pipe wrench for an application it wasn't designed for. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. I think I finally got it broke free. Oh yeah. Cool. All right. I will, you put a couple more twists of the wrench on there for you so you can just feel the pain and suffering. There we go. All right, I'm gonna finish running both of these out. I got them both loosened up. I'll catch you back here for when we move this out of the way and actually start getting at that cylinder that we're gonna replace. Catch you back here in a few. Okay, I think I got you in a good spot to kind of see what we're doing. We're gonna remove this from the cylinder. It's hose. Yeah, right. Here we are. The best part is you really can't get up on it. I'm doing this whole thing from the back end of the planner. There we go. Probably improper use of a tool, but that's all right. Just work that off. The pressure's kind of equalized there. Now this system on this planner utilizes, let me see if I can get a crowfoot down in there. Anyway, this system utilizes a master cylinder and a rephasing cylinder, and then these little slave cylinders. So that's why as we do this, I have no hydraulic pressure on this, but it'll still hiss and moan, if you will, because we have already replaced the master cylinder. So there's still going to be air in these lines, probably oil in these lines. It's just trapped in between the master and the rephasing cylinder. So anyway, I think I said that right. Probably not. Oops. I'm gonna get that other 15/16, I think. Oh, there we go. I don't know if you can see this. I'm breaking the 2 bolts that hold this cylinder on loose. There's 2 of them on either side that go into those pillow blocks I showed you earlier. They're installed upside down. Well, for our application anyway, they were installed upside down. I'm not sure if the original owner of this thing did ridge-till or what the thought process was. Maybe they were always like that, just installed backwards. But hope if I was going the right way. Now to get at that bottom one, bottom hose that is, what I found by working on, there's just so much stuff, by working on the other, not row unit, but other lifting unit, is that it's best to pull this out, well, at least at an angle, to where you can get a, to get one of the open end wrenches in there. So I was thinking about using one of my crowfoots that I've got, and I still might try that before I just abandon it completely. Because also what I found when working on those other lifting units, or the other lifting unit rather, is that if this whole thing falls out of here and you're not ready to catch it, well, that hose will, and then if you try wrenching on it, this whole thing will start turning because you don't have the bracket to hold it in place. The whole thing just becomes just a terrible, terrible nightmare. So, enough talk. I'm gonna go grab a crowfoot. I don't know if I have them that go up to 1 inch though. That's the problem. Let's see. Okay, if this actually works, I did have one that went up to 1 inch. Let's see. In the words of that guy from Vice Grip Garage, I'll be dipped. That's probably copyright infringement. He's probably gonna come after me for saying that. But I tell you what, I can see why he says it. When things work right, it's just a good day. It's a good feeling. You got the right tools and everything works. I tell you what, if any of you have not checked out, see, there you go, you can see you can see what I was talking about with this being a slave cylinder. Anyway, if any of you have not checked out Derek's channel over there at Vice Grip Garage, you need to. Awesome content. Way better than I'll ever produce or hope to produce. Big shout out to him. Between him, One Lonely Farmer, and Oliver Farm Boy, those 3 channels are the whole reason I kind of finally got up the nerve to do this. So it's either a big shout out to them or a big insult, one of the two. I'll let them be the judge of which. I tell you what, I can often relate to that Oliver Farm Boy 66. Actually, I think it's Oliver 66 Farm Boy, but anyway, he knows who he is. Try to get in there. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. There we go. There we go. Alright, so I got the pin out. Well, the safety pin, that is. Now we'll just kind of take these out. Get the ratchet back here. I got too many tools out for a simple job. You would think this would just... When I picked the cylinders up, I was like, oh, that'll be a, you know, Saturday afternoon project. Easy. Never, ever, ever, fellas, say that. Because what will only take an afternoon will suddenly take a whole week. The first one I did, that took an afternoon. That was mainly just trying to figure out the little tricks to doing it. That's the thing about owning a planter like this. Everybody around here, they're pretty much all John Deere or Kinsey. So when you have something that goes awry, there's nobody that can give you advice, which is another reason I'm making these. So there's no little helpful tricks. And the way I'm showing you is what I found out to be the best way. So, if any of you guys know a better way, you're welcome to make a comment. Whatever you do, don't force this down and shoot it in your eye. Of course, you should be wearing safety glasses, right? There we go. Now we can go in from the bottom, get that whole assembly out of there. Oh boy. At least it's not tax season anymore. At least we got that going for us. Okay. That's everything. That green's piece of steel that I just moved is the lockup for these. And that assembly does not work with the new style of cylinders because Yeah, that'd be too awesome. Now, I must give Great Plains some very good credit here. Wow. There we go. So, the new ones are on order. They're coming. They're on back order, but they're coming. They said 2 weeks. This planer's been out of production for, oh gosh, what? Well, I shouldn't say out of production. I guess they're still making it. So it's not like it's... You could go still buy a Yield Pro 625. It would just have all these updates on them. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I can get a new lockup assembly weldment, which isn't a common wear part, and it was only 60 bucks. I mean, you go to other mainline companies, heck, they'd probably charge you 10 times that for a weldment. So I gotta say I've been impressed with their support. And honestly, let's put the planer as a whole. It's a nice little planer. Okay, so now we're ready to install the new cylinder. So to do that, you gotta have a couple things ready to go. So I got my new pillow blocks, which go on left and right of the cylinder. I got my pin, got this assembly here on a jack, that red thing down there. I don't know if you can see it or not. You'll see why we do that here in a minute. And then we just kind of wing it at this point. So what I'm gonna do, probably just come up from the rear on this one. Probably my best option. And from the top. From the other one I did, I went in from the top. It worked, but it really was not fun. I was trying to do it while the wheel was still intact. And honestly, just save yourself the headache. Take the wheel out. All right. So then, as you see, we are pretty shallow, or pretty low. So that's where the jack comes in. Now you can try pulling on this, but that thing, I'm gonna say, if it's anything like the other ones, it's a no-go. So I'm gonna go up and get the 2 pillow blocks. Actually, let's jack on this for a minute. Whoo! Almost had another problem there. Let's see here. here. So this is how, oh, crying out loud. Let's say something. Now we get these pillow blocks inserted. And it says no. Denied. Denied. There we go. Just kind of got to talk with it. Let it know you're serious. Like I said, that's where this jacking has been about the only way to get that on there. Just keep going. Get close anyway. And for some reason, this is binding. I did not have that problem on the other one. There we go. A lot of burrs on this. That is weird. Very strange. Be right back. Okay, I crawled under there and saved you the time of, or the hassle, or maybe the boredom of watching me try to figure that out. Just wanted to make sure I was installing this right and that I wasn't going to break an expensive cylinder. All it was, this and this. There's just a couple burrs on this piece of plate right here. Who knows from what? Maybe when they were installing the old ones or fixing the old ones, who knows. Biggest thing is, got past it now, the thing's right where it needs to be. I still need to raise it up a little bit, maybe half an inch or so, so that those bolt holes, those 4 bolt holes on these pillow blocks line up where they should. So that's what we're gonna do now. Crawl back under here. Here's the problem. That back side right there is hitting that planar row unit. So what I'm gonna have to do, yeah, it's just barely clipping it. Right there. This is in just an odd position, honestly. Because usually when this thing's in the ground, these row units, how do I want to say this? They pass each other is what I'm trying to say. That thing will never come up that high, but I'm trying to get it that high so that I can get that pillow block in place. I know that doesn't sound right, but I assure you that's how it works. I'll show you once we get it in the field. Okay, I'll show you the solution that I made, or came up with, whatever the proper terminology is. I ended up putting this big pipe wrench over one of those pillow blocks, and the thought process there was to turn this so that these 2 holes lined up for the bolts to go in. Now, to do that, I had to disconnect that cylinder again, which isn't that hard to reconnect, but mainly that was just getting in the way. So I'll pull that rod back down, throw the pin back in, we'll be good to go again. What I was trying to think of is, when this thing is in field operation, it's not just going to be sitting on the shop floor. These row units actually go up as they go into the ground, right? They go in as far as the gauge wheels will let them go. So as they go up, the tires stay where they're at, and that's how we're getting that clearance. So this is going to be as tight a clearance as it'll ever be, and like I said, it's just making contact right there, so we'll be fine. The whole reason it was making contact is because those pillow blocks weren't where they were supposed to be. So anyway, enough ranting. We got that put together, and now it's just time to get that pin in there. Alright, so the next step in this process, before we hook up those hydraulic lines that are up top, we need to go ahead and get that tire back on. So what I'm going to do is go under there, get a jack under the, I guess you'd say yoke, I don't know what the proper term is, and jack that up so it's relatively close to the right height. And then run the tire back over, run some bolts back in. Yeah, pretty basic stuff. So let's get to it. And it's just that easy, folks. So through the magic of YouTube, I saved you the hassle of watching the wheel get rolled back in and 10 minutes of torquing on each of those bolts there on either side of the yoke. There's really no good way to get a ratchet in there, so just had to use an open end wrench and then box end and torque it down. Got the hoses reconnected up in there. if you can see in there. Pretty basic. So that's really all there is to it, to switching these cylinders out, getting them out. The trick is really getting this tire out of here. Just get that out of there, tilt the cylinder back, and just start tearing stuff apart. Once you get used to working on these planners, they are awesome, honestly. I am glad I bought the Great Plains. So anyway, this is where I'm going to leave this one. We'll be back finishing up the sprayer in a couple of weeks, and then hopefully get to planting. So I mean, all of this has happened on a daily basis, but as far as uploading it to YouTube goes, that takes time, and sometimes I just don't have that. So I'll try to take you along for the ride. Here's to a great season.